I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure Porzingis averages 1 million points per game this season. Every single offensive tendency that makes sense for him to shoot, I'm turning up. Maybe I should put these up even higher, because after seeing his point total after the first 10 games here, which we're going to see in a bit, I don't know, maybe it should be even a little higher than what it ends up being. But I'm determined for Porzingis to not be another one of these guys in my MyGM modes who should be averaging high 20s, and he averages like 19 points a game. As far as who else is going to be scoring, a lot of responsibilities going on Tim Hardaway Jr. He may be the 6th man of the team now, but the amount of offense that I want him to carry as a playmaker as well as a shooter and an attacker of the basket is pretty high. And I do want him to be our 2nd leading scorer, and he is still the number 2 guy in terms of shot. Whoever the hell is supposed to shoot the most, you know what I'm talking about. As for the starting lineup, there's a lot of defense in that backcourt, man. You got Frank Ntilikina and you got Norman Powell, and these two together, given that Ntilikina, he grew into a pretty decent defender for us after only his rookie season. That's one of the better defensive front courts or backcourts that we could put together. And Powell, a lot of his offense is going to be just being a part of the team, I guess. Whereas Ntilikina, I want him to force the issue a little bit more this season. I don't want him to be too different from what he was in his first year, but maybe a few more pick and rolls, a few more times attacking the basket, just kind of slowly building up his aggressiveness on offense. Michael Beasley, just be a shooter and just kind of take good shots, which is what he did last season for us. Lower usage, small forward that I'm content with. Now we got to talk about the center position. DeAndre Ayton, I'm going to start him as for right now. There is a chance that maybe Willy Hernangomez could end up being better than him, at least in his rookie year. Of course, Ayton's ceiling is way higher than Hernangomez's is. But, Ayton, hopefully if that outside shot is going in early on, then he could be a real offensive piece for us because he can roll to the rim and he can also shoot. His 3-point shot is not amazing, but we'll just have to see where he is about 10 or so games into the season. But I did mention Willy Hernangomez a moment ago, probably the backup center. I have worked on his defense a bit. Even so, I'm not going to allow him to ever become a great defensive player because I think that's kind of not realistic to go from not good defensively to really good. But I am content with him getting to a point of being maybe slightly under average or just average as a whole. But what happens with Kyle Quinn now? Well, Kyle O'Quinn, I forgot that. Well, he's on a 1-year deal, and he's a little older than Hernangomez. He costs more than Hernangomez. O'Quinn might just be a trade piece for us, which kind of sucks given where he was last year. What the hell, we're 8-2. I didn't really announce that I was going to start the simulating, but I did it, and we are way too good right now. Porzingis with the 23 points a game, which is closer to what I'd want. I still think he should be averaging 25, 26, but it's way better than what it normally is. The threes are going in, and he can't miss anything on the floor right now. And some big performances. One against the Cleveland Cavaliers, 39 points, being by far our best player. 5 turnovers were what they were, but we'll be okay. And Porzingis, I picture him being a really tough matchup for Cleveland if the Cavs remain good by the time we're good. Because even though we're 8-2 right now, I do think we're going to drop off because we're just supposed to. We're not good enough to maintain that throughout the season. But it's 2K, so who knows? Maybe we'll end up winning a championship in the second year, and this series will be way shorter than I wanted it to be. Who knows? But Porzingis could be great against them because, depending on whatever big man he's matched up with, there's always a counter because of his just ability to do everything. And then against Golden State, which we won by 5 points, 29 points and 10 rebounds here, he actually could be a bit of an offensive rebounding force against the Warriors. Somewhat, I don't know. He's still not that strong of a rebounder, but it could be a thing against them. But he's similar, or the Warriors are similar to the Cavs in the sense of, if he ends up on Draymond, at bare minimum, it stretches Draymond out to the 3-point line, so we can't just free roam around the defense. But then if he ends up on Zaza or whatever, that's a really easy mismatch for him. But Tim Hardaway Jr. has been right there with him every step of the way. I mean, Hardaway's averaging 19 points a game right now coming off the bench. So Porzingis is only averaging 4 more points than Hardaway. And, I mean, when you have a sixth man that's putting up that sort of scoring, it kind of makes sense how good we are offensively at the moment, which we'll see later on in this video. And, I mean, it's always good to have more defensive players and all that, but at a certain point, you got to be able to get buckets. And it seems like we have 2 guys right now in Porzingis and Hardaway who can do exactly that. But shout out to one of those lower usage guys in Norman Powell, who had himself a really good game against Golden State, 3 for 7 from the field. Had, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 13 points. I'm sure he was playing good defense as well. And then we can go back to Hardaway here for the game against the Hawks. Kind of a revenge game against Atlanta, even though this will be the 2nd season he's been in New York now, but screw it, I'm going to go with that storyline anyway. He's been great for us. It seems like he's perfect off the bench, and he's reminded people of J.R. Smith that year he had for the Knicks. Willie with a good game against Atlanta with 12 and 8. And we are going to talk about the center position a bit here, because when we look at Hernangomez versus DeAndre Ayton's numbers, they're really not far off from each other. Like, Hernangomez is actually averaging more points and more rebounds than DeAndre Ayton. But, number one, Ayton, that's still a damn good rookie season. But also, Ayton has been playing way better defense than Hernangomez is. His opponent field goal percentage is way lower. His plus-minus is better than Hernangomez's is. So it seems like DeAndre Ayton, even if he's not going to put up maybe as good of counting stats as Hernangomez, it seems like we are a better team when Ayton is in the game. So as a result, I'm going to leave him out there. 11 points and about 7 rebounds. That's really good for a rookie, actually. Ntilikina is no longer a rookie, but he hasn't light the world on fire just yet. I'm sure he'll be okay. We are really good on offense. We are the 3rd best offensive team in the league. The league leaders in 3-pointers made. So if we can keep that up, we should be putting up a lot of points. And then defensively, we're 13th in the league, I believe it is, which is just good enough. Things are going well. I have to assume we drop off a little bit, but we can enjoy this for while it's lasting.